Well, there's Pastor Caleb. Caleb's very interesting all the time. Bamboo principles in marriage. Now, if you have more questions, which I'm sure you do, you can feel free to send them to gm@planetimage.co.za, and Pastor Caleb's would be very happy to answer your questions.
Now, here's something that I'm pretty sure everyone will find rather interesting. We're talking about hair loss. So up next on Going Health, Dr. Alexander, or rather Dr. Kevin Alexander, has a chat with our very own Mabel about hair loss. So let's check out what he has to say.
We're talking today about health and wellness with regards to your hair. Very important subject to all the ladies and the guys out there. Maybe a lot more to the guys than has ever been before. So if you've always wanted to know about hair loss and how you can get rid of it and who can help you, this is definitely the segment for you. Dr. Alex, how are you?
Very well, thanks, and you, Mabel?
I'm wonderful, thanks. And before we go any further, may I just say you have a wonderful head of hair.
Appreciate that.
Are you a
thanks,
natural red?
I am, yes.
Wonderful. Awesome. So now you run a hair loss clinic. Talk to us about what a hair loss clinic would generally do.
Well, ours is a medical hair loss clinic, so we specifically use medicines, tablets, topical lotions, prescription items to grow people's hair back. We don't do transplants. That's not our field.
All right. So you don't do any plugs or anything?
No, not at all. Now, ours is medical treatment.
And does it actually work?
Yes, absolutely. I think the general public have very little idea of the fact that the latest medical treatments can deliver excellent regrowth results in a high percentage of men and women.
When it comes to thinning hair and to balding hair, most people have always been under the impression that it's irreversible. So are you telling me that with medication we can make hair grow again? Because I was always thinking when hair is dead, it's dead.
No, in fact, the follicle never dies. What happens is that the follicle becomes shrunken or miniaturized with time, due to the interaction of a hormone called DHT, or dihydrotestosterone, which starts just after puberty as a teenager. And what we do with medical treatment is that we try and recreate the environment that existed around your hair follicles at the time that you were 10 years of age. In other words, before you went through puberty, before the whole genetic and hormonal influence came into play. And if we can exclude that DHT from the genetic receptors altogether, the follicle has the inherent ability to regenerate back to its former glory. And obviously, people respond in different ways, and some people respond better than others. But certainly we can not only grow the hair back, we can also sustain it for many, many years. We've got some of our patients that are now 12, 13 years down the line on treatment. They were pretty bald 12, 13 years ago. They've still got full heads of hair today. So
you're telling me a man who's gone like that bald?
We have achieved that, not in every case. I'd say once you're completely bald, your chances are maybe 15, 20%. But certainly if you come to me with some hair, you've got probably 80 to 90% chance that you'll get regrowth. And probably 25% will get full regrowth, phenomenal regrowth.
Okay, well, those are still really good numbers for medication, because we're just thinking cosmetic surgery is the way to go. So now let's talk about alopecia. And you were explaining to me before that there are different types of alopecia. And obviously, I'm not a medical doctor, so I'm thinking alopecia means complete loss of hair. What exactly is it?
The term alopecia simply means thinning of hair. So there are different types of alopecia. Now, the most common one, we call it alopecia androgenetica, or male or female pattern baldness. This is the inherited condition that you see just about every man suffering from, and in fact, half the female population are suffering from it as well, but they tend to hide it away.
Half?
About 50% of women in their lifetime will experience some form of hair thinning from this condition of alopecia androgenetica, yeah.
That's a big number. Okay, now let's talk about the alopecia where people's hair falls off. What happens there?
Well, that condition we call alopecia areata. It's a condition where your body, for whatever reason, nobody really knows why, will suddenly start making antibodies against your own hair follicles, and you literally reject your own hair.
Wow.
And the hair will fall out in patches, and you can actually go bald, completely bald in a matter of days or weeks. You can lose eyebrows, eyelashes, you can lose all your hair.
So everywhere there's hair?
They can lose all their hair.
Everywhere there's hair?
Yeah, leg hair, underarm hair, they can lose it all.
I had no idea. Okay, well, is it treatable? Is it reversible?
Yes, that condition we use cortisone. It's the only thing that actually works. It has to be injected. If it's obviously scalp hair that they've lost, we inject it into the scalp. And our success rate, if it's patchy loss, is very high. It's about 98% in terms of growing hair back. If they've lost all their hair on their head, which we then call alopecia totalis, the success rate drops down to about 50%. And if they've lost all their body hair, which is then called alopecia universalis, the success rate probably only about 25%.
So if they've lost all of their hair but don't really care to have it come back in other places, would it be possible to just make it return on their heads?
No, when you treat, you can't really control whether it's going to grow
Okay.
back throughout their body or just on their head. Obviously, we focus the attention and the treatment on their heads, so we try and get their head just to grow there because that's where most people want the hair. But of course, you can be injecting cortisone on the scalp and it can start growing underarm and on the legs and
Okay.
everything. Yeah.
All right, well, so what does the cortisone do? I mean, if alopecia is a disease, basically, right?
It's a condition.
Does it
yeah.
get rid of what's causing your body to start rejecting its own hair? Is it curable? That's what I want to know.
Well, it's-
Or will you keep injecting cortisone?
We basically put it into remission because what is actually happening is that your body is making antibodies against, in this case, your own hair follicles. The cortisone is the most powerful anti-inflammatory agent that we have. Now, it's not foreign
Okay.
to the body. Your body actually makes it itself in the adrenal gland, which sits just above the kidney. So if you give enough cortisone that the plasma cells are disabled from making these rogue antibodies, the theory is that the new group of plasma cells that come through won't have that same rogue element. They won't make these
Okay.
antibodies. So that's the theory behind it. And we've certainly grown hair back in individuals that have kept it for many, many years. And in fact, 50% of the patients that I treat with alopecia areata never have the condition again. But there's always that potential. It might always come back again.
All right, so now let's talk about how many people come to see you at your practice. I was assuming that you see a lot of men, and you said 50% of the patients who come to see you are women.
That's right.
So now I'm guessing baldness is a problem throughout. Now talk to me about this myth that the bald gene comes from your mother's side of the family. Is that true?
No, in fact, it comes from both sides of the family, and it goes back 6 generations. It can even skip a generation, sometimes 2 generations along the way. Sometimes it'll hit out laterally, so your parents, your grandparents could be fine. There could be an uncle, an aunt, or a cousin. Every family's got a certain number of thin hair genes around, and if you happen to be the unfortunate one who gets more than your fair share, you'll go bald and you can have 6 brothers and sisters who don't.
So it equally comes from the mother and from the father.
That's it. And
Okay.
in fact, as many women inherit the baldness genes as do men, it's only because we as men have got 400 times the amount of testosterone that we go more quickly, more severely bald. If every woman were to live 40 years post-menopause, there'd probably be as many bald women around as there are bald men.
That's terrible. That is really bad. Now let's talk about the number of children that you see. What would you generally treat a child who'd walk into your practice for?
Well, the children that come to see me are generally the ones who have got alopecia areata, which is this antibody attack on the hair follicles. So it's only after puberty that you can actually pick up alopecia androgenetica, which is the genetic common female or male pattern baldness. So I would probably start treating those teenagers around about the age, I think the youngest I've treated is about 13, 14. Just after puberty, it starts to happen. But I've treated kids with alopecia areata age 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right, so now you treat ethnic and Caucasian hairs?
Yes.
That's great news, because I want to know from you, are there certain things that we can eat or consume, or vitamins or minerals, that'll make my hair grow long and thick and beautiful and shiny? Is that possible?
No, I wish I could tell you that that was true, but in fact, I usually use the analogy of the homeless guy on the street corner who's begging for food, and he's usually got a full mop of hair, and the triathlete who cycles past is going bald. Genetics, genetics, genetics is the most important thing.
Okay.
Obviously, if you start overdosing on something like vitamin A, it could make your hair fall out. If you are deficient in iron, for instance, it'll make, your hair fall out. But you've got to be extremely deficient in iron before it starts to make your hair fall out. So nutrition doesn't really play a huge role.
Really? So all these tablets out there that are meant to grow your hair, do they actually work?
No. Look, there's, I'd say hair loss, weight loss, and acne are probably the 3 biggest money spinners in the cosmetics
Yes.
industry. So there's lots of people out there selling products that claim to grow your hair back. Now, because these are not prescription items that they're selling, they don't have to prove it. We have to prove with our medicines through clinical trials that they're safe to use and that they work. Whereas the cosmetic items, if you market your product well enough, you can sell one item to 100,000 people. Each person will only buy it once, throw it away, but you've made a lot of money.
Very true. They don't have to come back and buy it again, right? They just have to get bitten once.
That's it.
Well, so what you're telling me is basically if people are suffering from hair loss or thinning or where their hair is falling out, they should come and see a medical practitioner or somebody who deals medically with hair loss, just like you.
I believe so, absolutely.
All right, so forget the creams and stuff. So now, if people would like to find out more about hair loss and how you can assist them and about your practice, what's the best way to do that?
Well, the easiest way is, first of all, to go onto our website, which is www.hairloss.co.za.
Okay.
And that's one word, hairloss.co.za. And on the website, you'll see the before and after photographs, you'll read the testimonials, you'll see articles, you'll see TV interviews, you'll see a profile on me and on the clinic. And, you know, you'll basically be able to pick and choose your own particular hair loss problem, because we'll show
Okay.
pictures of alopecia areata, we'll show photographs of male pattern baldness, female pattern baldness, hair loss due to stress, etc. So you can then
great
see
stuff.
what kind
Let
of results you
know
can
that
expect.
guy's suffering from the same
Yeah.
thing. Awesome stuff.
And,
Thank you very
and
much.
we can treat people long distance. If you cannot get to Johannesburg,
Yes.
we do Skype consultations, we do telephone consultations, and we actually post our medicines these days all over the world. We've got
Oh.
patients in every corner of the
Well,
globe.
that is great news. Thank you very much, Dr. Alex. It's been a pleasure having you and your great head of hair in studio today.
Thank you so much.
Now, if you'd like to speak to Dr. Alex and would love to have hair as beautiful and red as his, don't be shy. Drop us a mail. It's gma@planetimage.co.za. Also, you can catch us on Facebook and on Twitter. And if you've got awesome hair, hey, why not send us a picture? We'd love to see it. Now, to all the blondes, the brunettes, and the redheads out there, have a great hair day. And Chuma and Shayla will tell you what's up for the rest of the show.
Welcome back to GMA The Weekend on this Friday morning. We've just been watching Going Health, and of course that was Dr. Kevin Alexander from the Hair Loss Clinic. Now that you know how to look after your hair, I hope that you'll certainly take those tips into consideration. Now, never mind the men here, because all they do is just shave or cut the hair off every single time it grows a little bit because they're so scared of the comb. But for ladies, well, I hope you took down all the notes that you needed to take them down. And before we go to our next segment, if you do have any questions, please feel free to send them to gma@planetimage.co.za.
I'll tell you why men can have a haircut
I
whenever they
thought
want.
you had
No,
something
let me
to
answer
say.
you.
No,
Why we
let's,
can have a
let's,
haircut.
let's just go to the next.
What are you scared of?
Next program. What have we got on the lineup? Come on now, let's go. Let's go.
All
let's
right,
go.
while we fight
Africa
about
is
hair,
waiting.
let's enjoy a live performance.
Thank you.